Welcome to Call to Be a Voice. My name is Carolyn Cofield. In the book of Isaiah 21, the prophet Isaiah received a distressing vision so perplexing that it caused him to double over in pain like a woman having a baby. Now that's pain I can really identify with. He seemed to be terrified by the vision he saw. He was told to go find the watchman and inquire of him what he had seen. The watchman was also having a bad night. He was dealing with his own nightmares and scary visions. He had seen a chariot of horsemen, some donkeys and some camels, when suddenly a lion appears. Then a chariot of men with a pair of horsemen began to cry out, "Babylon is fallen, it's fallen." Watchman, what does all of this mean? War horses in formation for battle. War news covering the headlines that Babylon is fallen. Watchman, what of the night? His cautious and courageous and wise response was, "Morning is coming, but for right now it's still pretty dark. It's still night. Wait a while and come back later and ask me again." I'm sure Isaiah was probably thinking, "Is that all you have for me?" He thought by asking the watchman he could surely receive some consolation, a word of comfort and peace and hope and encouragement. He thought by asking the watchman he would get some resolve and interpretation of his own disturbing visions. You see, watchmen are called to watch, to guard, to protect, to peer into the distance, to spy out the land, to scope things out, to sound the alarm in order to see and to save, to warn those that are in danger. Watchmen see further and more than most, but this watchman was in total distress about what he had seen, seemingly doubtful and fearful, and yet somewhat hopeful that by the morning things would have changed. I can hear him singing that little song, the Annie song. The sun'll come out tomorrow. Bet your bottom dollar that tomorrow there'll be sun. Just thinking about tomorrow clears away the cobwebs and the sorrow till there's none. When I'm stuck in a day that's gray and lonely, I'll just stick out my chin and grin and say, "Oh, the sun'll come out tomorrow." You gotta hang on till tomorrow, come what may. Tomorrow, tomorrow. I love you tomorrow. You're always a day away. What a difference a day will make, but the only problem with that song is tomorrow's not promised to you. The watchman's honest response could have been, "For right now, today doesn't look so good, but tomorrow's another day. I'll keep watching, but you need to go home and pray." This is a message, a time to awake the watchman. According to Ezekiel 3:17, the word of God came to the prophet. It says, "Son of man, I have made you a watchman for the house of Israel. Therefore hear a word from my mouth and give them warning from me." God says, "I made you a watchman," meaning I've shaped you, I've called you, I've formed you, and I created you to be a looker, a seer, a watchman on the wall. Simply said, watchmen are called to stay awake, they're to watch, and they're to warn the people. Just as it was in Ezekiel's day, according to chapter 22, verses 29 through 32, God sent a warning. The people of the land have used oppressions, they've committed robbery, and mistreated the poor and the needy. They wrongfully oppressed the stranger. So I sought for a man among them who could make up a wall, who could stand in the gap before me on behalf of the land, that I should not destroy it, but I found none. Therefore I have poured out my indignation on them. With increased warnings and plagues and natural disasters and economic upheaval, changes in the weather, so many are asking the question, what's next? Something is up. They're having bad dreams. Something is happening. What's coming? Watchman, what do you see? First of all, as a watchman, it depends on what you're looking at. The watchman cried, "Babylon has fallen." The way of this world system, the selfish pursuit for money, power, success, fame, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eye, the pride of life, every man doing what they feel to be right in their own eyes. Yes, for sure, Babylon has fallen. But the bottom line is, even in the worst of times, the Church of Jesus Christ can still experience the best of times because God is still God. He's merciful. He's in control. He's good. He knows those that are His. Adverse circumstances are quite normal in a fallen world, but know that Jesus has overcome the world. The safest place in the whole wide world is in the will of God. So will the church experience revival or more riots? Will it experience harvest or havoc? Will it experience justice or judgment? Before it's all over, probably a little of all of the above. The Lord judges his church for the purpose of correction, conviction, not condemnation, for deliverance, not destruction. But since God is coming back for a purified bride and judgment begins in the house of God, we will experience his discipline, his chastening, and his correction because he chastens those that he loves. But we must also be reminded that there will be yet another outpouring of the Spirit of God, what many are calling the third great awakening, a reviving of the saints and a harvest of souls, as the message of the kingdom will be preached all over the world as a testimony and a witness to other nations, and then the end will come. This is Sister C, encouraging you to stay alert and awake and to continue to watch and pray.